Okay, try two. Let's see if I got it right this time. Good. That's great. Warning, F-bombs are armed and they will be dropped sooner or later. Just not quite yet. It's 10 March 2022. And the first subject is the Russian-Ukrainian war propaganda trap. And I don't know how else to put this. Simple fact of the matter is the propaganda is coming out faster than the bullets are flying. Yeah, and some of this is just weird, bizarre shit. Um, the one that's coming first to mind is this Ghost of Kiev thing, an ace in a day. Okay, I first heard about it. I think it was Wednesday of last week, sometime in the morning. I thought, oh wow, that's cool. I wonder what happened. Maybe he used some sort of secret trick that he knew about the way about the way the Russian pilots flew. Flag on the play, take a shot. Um, that's entirely plausible. The North Vietnamese did that during the Vietnam War. They knew how American pilots flew, so they knew exactly when to go up to go after the Thunder Chiefs that couldn't dogfight and avoid the F4s that could. And it basically was a constant ambush until some F4 pilots figured out, something's wrong with this story. Let's look at it a little bit. And oh, this is what we've been missing. The F4 pilots then pretended to be Thunder Chiefs, flew at the Thunder Chief level, speed. They even talked like Thunder Chiefs. Green up was apparently a thing because the Thunder Chief weapons panel, the lights would all turn green when you activated the weapons. So they pretended to be Thunder Chiefs. The MiGs came up to meet them. Total ambush. There was no survivors from the North Vietnamese flight. Okay, that's a thing. So now I'm hearing about Ghost of Kiev. Oh, okay, maybe it's the same thing. He knew something about the way Russian pilots flew or thought, and he used that to his advantage, and they just walked right into an ambush. Oh, no, that's not what happened. It was total bullshit. Right from the ground up, it was just a crazy story somebody made up out of nowhere. But excuse me, apparently this came from some video game. I don't give a shit which one. The problem with this propaganda is when it comes out that it's bullshit, that really hits people who thought that this was real. This Ghost of Kiev thing hadn't settled in enough with me to do any real, make any real impact. Oh, hi, Barnaby. Sorry, I have the wrong window up. How about I fix that? Let's not use so many four-letter words, by the way. This Ghost of Kiev thing hadn't settled in with me enough to make much of an impact on me, but on people that do absolutely support Ukraine, this would have hit hard. This would have been a big, big blow. And for people that supporting Russia fully, it would have been a big, big counter propaganda. See, you can't believe anything that Kiev is saying. Whether Kiev put the story out or not is completely irrelevant. The story was out. And it's going to be blamed on them, no matter what really happened. Okay. That's actually a very minor relatively speaking, example. Um, the crazy ass story about the woman who had the AR-15 who was going to bravely defend her home country. It turned out she was an airsoft player. Well, that one, I heard about it when it came out that it was fake. And that still hit home. Oh, wait. How many of these patriots who are bravely defending their country, how many of these stories are fake? How many of them are just bullshit stories? There's one in particular that comes to mind. This woman who claims to be a member of the uh, Ukrainian legislature, standing in her apartment holding an AK, I think 74. Um, yes, Squatch, we know. There's nothing I can do about that. Holding what I believe is AK-74, saying, I never thought a week ago that I'd be defending my homeland, but here I am. Whoa, Ghost is here. Hold up, guys. I got something I got to take care of real quick. It's either going to be a ban or something else, so y'all figure it out on your own later. Where was I? Turns out she's in her living room in slippers. This was a photo op. Nothing more. We don't know what she's really doing. Now think about this, folks. The more of these crazy stories that turn out to be completely fake you hear about, well, it's too late for that, Ghost. The more you're going to not believe the true stories. Here's a great example. I just heard about this morning. Do not hold me accountable for what I'm about to say. It is claimed, and I said claimed, and that's it, that the Russians shelled a maternity hospital, maternity ward, something like that. It's probably true enough so far as it goes, since the first thing I heard was the Russian version of the story, which was that it was being used as a, quote, militia center. What's this? Something like that. Just work with me here. How the fuck am I supposed to believe anybody now? I know both sides have been lying to me left, right, and indifferent. How the fuck am I supposed to believe anybody? For all I know, they evacuated the facility, waited for it to get bombed, took video of it being bombed, and they said, see, the Russians are bombing a maternity ward. Russians on the other side are saying, well, yeah, but it was a militia staging area. I don't believe anybody. Squatch, Ghost, and Burnaby, I know, are watching. One of you, tell me, which one am I supposed to believe? Or give me a hint. Just give me a hint. I'll go with a hint. Okay, I have something from somebody I do believe that it would. You should be able to see it in the stream. It was a children's hospital with a maternity ward. See, already the story's changed a little bit. 17 killed, including children and waiting mothers, so they say. Even Ghost is apparently implying that maybe there's more to this story. Squatch has been around a while. He knows exactly what to say to not piss me off. He's also probably telling the truth, which is worse. So, by all means, keep pumping these stories out. We need so many more of these stories, these crazy ass, weirdo conspiracy theories and bullshit stories, because that's doing everybody so much good. We have somebody new. Oh, actually, I think I've seen this name. Occupy Till I Come says, kind of sounds like things that happen in the Middle East. Yes. And gee, Well, now, doesn't that ring a bell? Thank you, Occupy, for bringing that to my attention. Almost as if, oh, I don't know, this was a fucking form letter. And I still don't know who to believe. Here's an easy one. There's a story about a armored convoy column, right? Squatch is, or excuse me, Ghost is probably at the other end of this, saying, cringing at the word of the use of the word convoy. But that's okay. It wasn't my word, Ghost. I swear, I didn't choose it. They say that it's stalled. Okay. The fact that it stopped is something I've been reasonably able to verify. It been sitting in one place for about 48 to 72 hours at one point. I don't know if it's still sitting there or not, but apparently, supposedly, it still is. So what? Every side is saying something different. And I even got one that I don't fucking know where this shit came from. I didn't even get past the headline. I didn't bother. It said how Chinese tires has stalled the Russian convoy. What? Where did you get that from? And that's just something clearly somebody had to have pulled that one right out of their ass. All I know is they stopped for a while. I don't even know if they were stopped the last time I checked, but that was the claim that was being made. Something that I can verify, I still can't believe. And it's also going to get worse and worse and much, much worse until at some point we all just have to say, no, we don't believe anything. And that's the trap. That's what they, and I say they, I don't know who they are. I really don't. They want you so confused and frustrated with everything that you don't care anymore. Shells could be raining right down onto purely civilian targets. So what? I know, I've been lied to so many times now, I don't believe you again. It could be live streamed. You won't believe it. And if you do, you might make the mistake of thinking, yeah, but that must be the side you don't like because, well, they've lied so many times in the past. Okay, yeah, I want to hit this one, and I have to be very careful about what I say here. The latest is that Russia is saying that the U.S. has certain facilities, storage facilities, according to Ghost, and that's the whole cause of this conflict. That's bullshit. All right. Does the U.S. have facilities in Ukraine? Sure. I absolutely believe that. As a matter of fact, at some point it was, and I'm saying this from vague memory from well before this started, that was confirmed. This is 2 or 3 years ago. They were talking about it. What about it? China has facilities in the United States. That was a big, big issue. This is pre 9/11, so many, many years ago, late 90s. Was it, I believe it was NBC, had basically their cover story for the nightly news being about all these Chinese funded laboratories in the United States and how they're stealing U.S. intellectual data. They were funding facilities at U.S. At American universities, and we're talking billions of dollars. And the people who paid for the facility got all of the intellectual rights that came out of the facility. Okay. Tell me how any of this then is new. Please tell me how any of that is new. Here's another thing about those laboratories that may or may that probably that did exist. Why are we not talking about Russia's facilities in Ukraine as well? Oh, wait a second. Yeah. Everybody fucking has labs in every other country, so we can keep an eye on what's going on there. The US has labs in China. That way, if something starts, like the common flu, I said the common flu, I meant the influenza virus, not the other one from 2019. I mean, the one that's been going on since I have fucking no clue. Yeah, because the flu virus, the seasonal flu virus that you would get a normal vaccine every year for, typically would start in China and then spread westward around the world. So we had a huge head start on it. Now it was starting to change a little bit, starting to spread a little west a little bit faster until roughly 2018. What might have changed right about that time? You figure that out on your own. And we were distributing flu vaccine. We were helping to distribute flu vaccines around the world to help keep the flu under control. Occupy Till I Come says it's a type of lab in Los Angeles. I'm not sure whose lab he's referring to now. And that is not enough information to qualify as self-dox, but Occupy, I do not allow self-doxing on the channel, so be very careful about what you do say. Los Angeles is a large, huge, Jesus fucking Christ, big place. It's bigger than some counties in Virginia, I think. So that's not. Okay. All right. I'm up to speed. Yeah. Everybody has a lab in pretty much every other country. The country even has electricity. There's a lab there. And if they have a problem, we have a problem. We're supposed to help step in and bring the problem under control. Let's skip over the events of 2019 in this regard. So now what about it? US has labs in Ukraine as well. So does Russia. That's a bullshit story. I'm not even completely convinced that Russia actually said that at this point. That's how bad the bullshit has gotten. Okay, Burnaby is asking, what is a certain individual that I am reluctant to mention say on this matter? He has every channel up to this crisis. Ghost, remind me to email you later about something. I have no idea. I don't follow that individual at all. Remember what I was saying earlier about propaganda and how at some point you get to the point where you don't believe anything anybody's saying? Yeah, I'm way past that point with him. So another great example. We invaded because of Americans in Ukraine. Yeah, bullshit. Bullshit. You have your own facilities there. It's just going to get worse. It is literally just going to get worse. And the best part about this, are you sitting down? I hope you are. I really wish Totes was here to hear me say this, because you'd have to carry his jaw around in a wheelbarrow for next week. Even the fucking news reporters, the so-called real journalists, can't make sense out of any of this. It's gotten to the point where they are as confused as the rest of us. But they aren't so confused as they take the time to find out. They're more than happy to tell the version of the story that they want you to hear. Okay. As this thing continues to grow and get out of control further and further, here's what's eventually going to happen. Somebody is going to say something, make some claim that is so absolutely fucking insane that all you have to do is just look at the headline and say, wait, what? You're claiming what? You're going to dismiss it. The first few times, you're going to be right. And then all of a sudden, something true will come along, and you've gotten so jaded about the lie after lie after lie that you've been hearing for, at that point, about the last 6 months to a year, that you won't believe it. You'll dismiss it right like that. And this one turns out to be true. Burnaby, hold on to that thought, because that's the next subject. I'm a little mad about that too. BS starts up again. Okay. And that's also part of the trap. They want you so completely confused that you literally cannot tell the lie from a truth. This is the classic boy who cried wolf. And he kept crying wolf until not only was there a wolf in the sheep, amongst the sheep, but he's literally walking down the street growling at people, and they say, oh, what? Okay, sure, that's not a wolf. That's just a big dog. This is the most incredible game of gaslighting you will ever see in your life. And to be perfectly blunt, I don't know how to fix it. Not because there's a First Amendment. Not every country has a First Amendment, newsflash. But because you can't stop people from running their mouths like a bunch of bitches. Oh, yeah, about that. Then what? What do we do then? Let's just go a little bit shitposty and say somebody uses a nuke. Nobody's going to believe it. Nobody is going to fucking believe it because, well, you know, we've been hearing about, and this was in the news this morning, so don't give me any shit, YouTube. I don't even want to hear it. Jen Psaki, sometime in the last, let's say 36 hours, said something about Russia could use chemical weapons. Okay. Do I believe her? No. Do I believe they have them? Yes. I was exposed to one of those non-existent chemical weapons that Saddam had. I was exposed to the residue from the chemical weapon. But I don't believe her. So the first time somebody does use a chemical weapon, I'm going to just sit back and say, I don't believe you. I absolutely have. I'm done. I'm done. Don't even waste my time with this story. Now what? The one guy in the world who should be believing these crazy ass stories, because I've talked about it myself in context far less oh, financially supported than a Russian invasion. And I'm not believing the story either. Guess we're all in deep shit now, aren't we? Okay. Through the first half hour. I'm going to interrupt myself here for a second. I'm also going to have to cut the stream a little bit on the short side. Papa Carey has to go into the hospital today because something to do with his hip, and I'm not quite sure what. Only that it's been bothering him of late. All right. As far as I assume nuclear weapons goes, Squatch said, I'll believe it when I see three-eyed glowing fish. No, because I was a sailor. I already believe in three-eyed glowing fish. Okay, let me rephrase that. I believe in glowing fish, and I do believe in three-eyed glowing fish, and they're also blind because they down at like 15, 1600 feet below sea level. That's where they live. So you don't have eyes down there. The light is supposed to draw in other fish. It's kind of the way it is. Moving on to the next subject, distractions in media, which ties into the previous one. Supposedly, we're out. Oh, at this point, I don't even fucking know what I'm supposed to believe. Yes, Squatch, I know where the three-eyed fish comes from. It's delish. Can't swallow his own story. All right, moving right along. Are we fucking in a pandemic or aren't we? Because I'm not sure. All right. So up in Canada, just 2 weeks ago, there was a rally of truckers from all over the country in Ottawa that kind of sort of broke up under some very questionable circumstances. All right, let's just leave it at that for now. That was me being very, very generous, RCMP. So please, by all, and YouTube, by the way. So please say something. This video's out there. I didn't take it. All right, so that happened. Just before Russia crossed the border, but well after Biden was started saying, "Oh, Russia's going to invade," and what's his name, the president of Ukraine said, "Oh no, that's not going to happen. That'll never happen." The I put something up, I put it here, I put it on BitChute, and I put it on Full 30. Most people forget I have the Full 30 account because I don't talk about it that much until something happens. And well, yesterday, maybe the day before, I'm not exactly sure, something happened. You know what? I'm going to go one big step further. I'm not going to screen share because I'd have to dox myself, but I'm going to read the verbatim. Full 30. Well, let me try that. Yeah, pro tip for life: don't throw out old emails until you're actually done with them. Here we go. It was the upper one. Okay. This was a comment. Now I'm reading it from the email notification. Beauty of email notifications is even if you remove the comment, whoever you commented to can still see it. You do not have any rights to spread a deadly plague to innocent people! Exclamation mark. You could be spreading death and disability to other people for caps lock weeks before you even know that you are infected! Exclamation mark. You don't have to get vaccinated. Just stay home and don't come out. Okay. Give me a moment to calm down because I'm kind of mad. I'm not even going to lie about it. Also, I got to pull the check back up. What spread? This was a nationwide rally. Okay, so people came from all over Canada. In fact, there was supposedly a couple Americans up there. Not a single case has been attributed to the rally. Now what? And by the way, they were up there for, somebody correct me, it was a 3-week rally with bouncy houses and people running around. And yet, somehow, mysteriously, there's not a single case attributed to the rally. You know, that actually doesn't make sense. All right. I know the virus is real, so don't tell me that there's no way it was there. But on that note, there doesn't appear to have been a single case spread as a result of this rally. Okay. So what spread? What are you talking about, Elso? And the fact of the matter is, because we did things early on that we needed to do, we were able to stop the pot from boiling over and creating a grease fire that burned the whole house to the ground. Flag on the play. Take a shot. To the YouTube overlords, this is not a disclaimer. This is actually me speaking, right? Because of my history degree, I know just how dangerous and a novel virus can be. I don't need the Spanish flu to cite. I can cite a dozen, right? But we did the things early on that we needed to do to get containment before it did turn into the Black Plague all over again. That is the scientific fact. We did the things we needed to do to get control of this before it got out of hand. And yes, it did burn the living room. It totally destroyed the living room and part of the head. Okay, that's unfortunate. But it didn't destroy the entire house. In the process of getting control of this, we did a whole lot of damage to the living room and the head and the galley. That's some of it can be said to have stopped it from spreading. That's okay, fine. We did that damage. Some of it we figured out later we didn't really need to do that after all. We didn't really need to hose the toaster down to get control of this fire. And in hosing the toaster down, we caused a little bit of an electrical fire that destroyed the toaster and the loaf of bread that was sitting next to it. Okay, that's unfortunate too. That happened. We can live and learn from that mistake. What we did not need to do is to keep fucking dumping water on a fire that was out and has been out for the last 20 minutes. There, I said it. And now, all of a sudden, what are you not hearing about? Oh, you're not hearing about the trucker rally in Canada. You're not hearing about the trucker rally in Washington, D.C. Oh, yes, there was. I've still not heard very much about it because it's getting buried by Russia and Ukraine and shit memes, bullshit propaganda stories that I can't even sort through. You know, I don't even know what all of today's stories are. As has been pointed out in the chat, I didn't even know the whole story about what supposedly happened yesterday. And I still don't. They're using one crisis after another to keep you distracted from the fuck up they did last week. It really is as simple as that. You know what? It's kind of gotten to the point where I'm not even sure if I believe that they, whether you say globalists or internationalists or cabal or whatever term you want to use, I really don't give a fuck. I have to wonder if they know what the hell they're doing. It's that ridiculous at this point because we're not even seeing any internal consistency in the crazy. You're going to hear that something new happened in about 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, to distract you from the fact that Ukraine is actually winding down and they're figuring out what they're going to do, how they're going to end this thing. They don't want you to hear that they fucked up again. So you're going to hear about something. Oh, no, you're not, because I heard about it this morning. Deltacron. It's already starting. What the hell? You're trying to confuse us while we're still already confused from the thing that was supposed to distract us from the other thing that we were confused about. Well, that's exactly what they want. They want confusion, frustration, and disorder and panic. Because revolutions happen in disorder. All right. The mob doesn't storm the castle when things are going along well. They storm the castle when things have gotten confusing and frustrating. They want that castle stormed, and by goddamn, they intend to see it. Do not allow yourself to be distracted by today's bright, shiny. Right? Luke, welcome. Oh, hey, I got another chart to attend to. Guys, what do you think's about to happen? Oh, nope, not that one. It's been occurring to me that some of you I've known longer than others and better than others. Although I will go out on a limb and say I've known Squatch longest of all of y'all. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're tight with Luke. Where was I? Don't allow yourself to be distracted. You see something, just say, okay, it is, and move on. Because you will not know for another year if it's true or not. Every time you turn around, it's going to be a new story, a new bullshit story until something big, big happens. I'm not talking about 9017. No, Luke, you would have to really, really try. You would really have to try to get time out with me. All right. Um, if you can get thrown out of this dive, you really fucked up. You need to go home and think about yourself and your life, your entire life. But moving right along, I'm not talking about 9017 when I say something big. I 9017 is so small fry. That would be just like the cherry on the sundae of how big this thing is, if it's even involved at all. At most, it would be used to keep everybody distracted from what else is going on. And yes, I am very much black pilled, Burnaby. I know it. I've been doom and gloom for, oh, Jesus Christ, 19 years. Oh, yes, actually 45, but we'll come back to that some other time. Um, and on the subject of doom and gloom, the upside of all of this is that once all of this crazy bullshit happens, we can start picking up the pieces and putting it back together. And the first thing we would have to do is everybody step up and say, okay, here's what I actually did, and go from there. I'm not talking about a war crimes tribunal. I'm not even talking about punitive actions. I'm literally saying just step up and say, okay, this is what I did. When I was in boot camp, question came up. Why is the truth so important? And a certain seaman recruit, Carrie, who was a total asshole, said, we can't fix a problem if we don't know what it really is. We won't be able to fix this problem until we really know what all of it is. Okay. Too late, Burnaby, I saw it. As you're going through the rest of your day and week, just take that long moment every time you see something and say, yeah, okay. And until you can be sure that it really did happen the way that's being claimed, just blow it off. Maybe it's true. That's the worst part. Maybe there really is a wolf literally just walking right up the center street of the village. But because you don't know the truth anymore, you're kind of screwed. All right, I'm going to move on to the get home bag entry for this week. First of all, water, water, water. Always water. Second, and this could actually be everyday carry. I do. Light work gloves. These are not warm gloves. These are work gloves. I'm gonna cover. I'm very careful about using names because this company may not want to be associated with me. That's happened once before already. These are just very light work gloves. All right. Actually, I learned to carry work gloves around the hard way. Was that Papa Carey's 2018? I think it was 2018. Um, when this just hellacious snowstorm came from nowhere. Right, this is absolutely record snow. I remember I went out for a cigarette. I look up, oh, it's snowing. Okay, this is a yearly thing. It gets, about millimeter thick, and it's gone by 1000, and you don't even remember. It's just enough snow to make your life miserable and not enough to have any fun. Okay. Well, at Papa Carey's, the snow was almost 4 feet deep. Wow. The fuck happened here? It brought trees down literally everywhere. Took out electricity pretty much all over Northern California. Um, I heard that, I've heard from very reliable sources that it even took out some of the electrical grid around Reno, you know, my place. It just totally ripped shit apart. We had no electricity. We couldn't make breakfast. We couldn't even make. Well, actually, we did make coffee on Dad's camp stoves. Uh-oh. So, me, Dad, and my younger brother climbed into Dad's truck. We went the 42 miles, I think it was, to get to Redding, and we went to breakfast because Redding still had electricity in most of the city. And by the way, there is a restaurant at the intersection of Cypress and Pine Street. Don't go there. Go literally anywhere else. But moving right along. Um, on the way into town, because this was all still very, very fresh, there were trees all over the road. There's also a couple down electrical lines. Stay away from the electrical lines. But me and my brother had to get out and help move the trees out of the way. We were very fortunate. There was a couple of people around. They had chainsaws, they had bow saws, they had this, they had that. They didn't have time to cut the trees up so we could haul them off and clear them out of the way. That wasn't going to happen. So the two of us started pulling trees away. By the time we got to the restaurant, my hands were literally bleeding because I'd been handling this frozen bark. Okay, I'm handling literally ice covered bark. First thing I did was wash my hands and have Dad check them out because Dad had been a corpsman in the Navy. He knew how bad it really was, and it was bad enough. It wasn't as bad as it could have been, but it was bad enough. On our way home, we stopped at Harbor Freight and picked up some gloves. I usually carry those. I have two pairs, one for my bag and one for my everyday carry. I usually carry my everyday carry around in my back pocket. Literally, it just sits there until I need it, or it sits in my car. It don't take up any space. This pair is usually rolled up, so no big deal. And they were like $5. And you won't rip the shit out of your hands in the event of an actual problem. You don't even have to get the good ones. The cheap leather gripped ones are fine. Oh, okay. I'm going to drop that and do something I should have opened up with. Usually I do a reading of Dadislav towards the end of the stream. Today I'm going to do something a little different. Why should you support Mandatory Carry? The 100-foot overview. All right. StreamYards is telling me 6 people are watching right now, and I know I've got 5 people who've commented. Maybe it is 6. If you're watching this channel and you're not a gun control supporter, because believe it or not, there's 2 that follow me, drop in the chat a gun control related issue that you would love to see addressed. I can almost guarantee at some level I have addressed it. Might not be the way you want, all right, but it's been addressed at some level. I'm going to go with the low-hanging fruit here because probably going to be the first 3 responses anyways. Concealed carry reciprocity or lack of, magazine bans, clip bans, excuse me, and what would be the, non operationally required features. It has foregrips, folding and adjustable stocks, red dots. You can fill in the rest of the blanks from there. Okay? Literally has covered all of those to specifically say that the federal government can only regulate 3 things: automatic and or burst fed, continuous feed, high DM, and fire and explosive. And that's it. Those are the 3 things that can be regulated. And it doesn't say banned, it says regulated. Okay. DM Foss is informing us that rubber grips give you more gun control than wood grips. I'm not sure if he's poking fun at me or if he's being serious or both. Porque no las dos. And knowing most of my crowd, it probably is both. Both is good. Porque no las dos? Dos es bueno. That's about the limit of my Spanish, people. There's literally nothing else that can be regulated, just those 3 items. And the states can only regulate their state concealed carry permits. All right. They can actually set standards for, okay, to get a concealed carry permit in Orange, the state of Orange, you have to do this, 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 and this. Okay. And this, and this have to be reasonable and generally in accordance with the other states. Also, it specifically says that you have to honor out-of-state CCWs. Matter of fact, it doesn't say anything about the states have to have a concealed carry permit system. So the state of blue that decides they don't want concealed carry permits and they're not going to deal with it, it's just constitutional carry and that's it, would be doing their residents a disservice when they travel to Orange with their gun concealed, because residents of blue cannot get a concealed carry permit. They went to Orange, their gun was concealed, now they're in trouble in Orange. It's a problem they'll get fixed real fast, isn't it? This goes back to the Shauna China. I'm sorry, I don't remember her first name. But the Allen case. Ms. Allen was, I believe, northbound through New Jersey, out of New York, on the freeway, which is federal dirt through a state. She gets pulled over for something. I have no idea what. I don't even think I remember seeing it. She has a concealed carry permit from New York that's not valid in New Jersey under any circumstances. She was arrested and spent 90 days, I think it was. Somebody correct me about the date, about the time. In jail, she lost her job. She could have lost her home, her apartment. Failure to pay rent because she's sitting in a New Jersey jail. On and on and on. Because her concealed carry permit was not recognized in New Jersey. No, that's not acceptable. The governor of New Jersey eventually stepped in and said, yeah, no, this is not happening on my watch. Go home, please. Just go home. That was the end of it for that. And that would be the end of it forever. Burnaby asks, open bolt. No, there's nothing in there about open bolt. It literally is never mentioned in any way, shape, or form. Open, closed. That weirdo combination that Sterling, I think, used. Nothing. It's not there. Reciprocity is literally built in. All right. And features literally says nothing about features. You want a forward grip? It's not a problem. You want a rail, Picatinny rails? Great, good. What about it? You're good to go. Magazine bands or limits? It's literally says only these three things. So good luck passing that one, Joe. Of course, Joe will be out of office by then. But anyway, he'll probably be dead of very, very old age because he's not that young now. Holy shit. There's nothing there to remove, Burnaby. What about it? Go ahead. Matter of fact, if you can think of something that's kind of out there and you're not sure should be allowed, drop it. I'd love to see why I should include it on the list. There is a reason why automatic and or burst fire and explosive and incendiary rounds are included. All right, there's a real reason. It's because you can't kill 5 people just because one guy is shooting up the Gilroy Garlic Festival. That's not going to work. Anything less than that, fine. I'm good. And if you're using a semi-automatic firearm or a revolver or a single shot gun, and this guy is shooting up the Gilroy Gilroy Garlic Festival, and you in good faith take your shot at him and somebody else gets hurt as a result, that is still unfortunate, right? And you may have to explain what happened, but you're going to walk away from this one. Unless you did something that's just so brazenly irresponsible. You're going to walk away. Because you were literally obeying the 27th Amendment. That's something I hear a lot. Well, it's not constitutional. Yeah, well, okay. This is a proposal for a constitutional amendment. I love it when people say, that's not constitutional because it's a constitutional amendment proposal. Also, I tend to hear that comment more from Air Force veterans than enlisted Air Force veterans than everybody else combined. I'm just saying. Come on, guys. One of you has got to have a thought about something that you wish would be addressed. Pretty sure it's not the MFOS. Although, actually, FOSS would have something not related to mag limits. It's something very, very unique to Washington State. It's very weird. Okay. So why should you support it? Because it sets literally one basic national standard. It is now going to be the part of the Constitution, which means none of the states can say, except for us. And last but not least, it leaves the states open. Literally, the only thing they will have is the ability to set concealed carry permit laws. And to be perfectly blunt, where I'm going with that, every state has a different definition of murder, right? And justifiable self-defense, more importantly. I cannot understand the states that do not require at least a basic understanding of your state's justifiable self-defense and lethal self-defense brief, right? The last one I sat on was 8 hours. Excuse me, it would have been 6 hours, but they did have a no shoot. Excuse me, no, just a straight shoot segment. The previous one, this was Oregon, by the way. It had been 4 hours to explain justifiable self-defense at every level because I was getting a guard card, not a concealed carry permit. Much more comprehensive class. I'm kind of curious what the concealed carry class would have been like. Probably about the same time, but that's because you need about 2 hours for a typical concealed carry class, about 20 people. So about a 2-hour lecture, and that's it. Of course, that was the rules at the time. That's it. This would also put an end to a lot of the ridiculous bickering about some terms that one of the first things I did was to sit down, and this was long before I was mandatory carry. Brent, this is back when I was still a gun control supporter. Holy shit, that long ago. Me and Brent were discussing the 91 ban. This is well after it passed, though. And I said, well, assault weapons being banned is not a big deal. He said, okay, define assault weapon. Well, like the M16 and the AK-47. He said, okay, the M16 is already banned. What about it? What? Flag on the play. I did not understand that there was a difference between the M16 and the AR-15 at the time. All right, that's ignorance, and that's on me. But the he challenged me to define assault weapon, and I went to the stock answer: intermediate cartridge, fully automatic, detachable clip fed. I don't even think I said detachable. I don't think I knew to say detachable back then. Whatever the other one was, I don't even remember now. And he said, okay, so define intermediate cartridge. Well, bigger than, smaller than. like everybody does. Okay, but that's not a definition. That was literally his exact word. Okay, but that's not a definition. To this day, I can still not define what intermediate is. I can barely give you an idea where to start for pistol cartridge. And the only thing I could say with any sense of intelligence is to maybe give you an idea where rifle ends and cannon begins. Light cannon rounds, it's roughly around the 25 millimeter range. It's got to be bigger than 25 millimeter because there's a 25 millimeter rifle. So there you go. Hey, if you got a definition, let me hear it. I've heard maximum effective range. I've heard maximum range. I've heard muzzle velocity. Well, all of these things I could tinker with and get a 50 cal to go to a limit of that range or a limit of that muzzle velocity. The only way I could kind of define pistol is if you could fit the magazine into the grip. Okay, I guess that makes a measure. I'm also pretty sure if you shortened up and fattened the 5.56, you can make it fit into the grip. I also know enough to know that I don't know how short and how fat it would have to be to do that. But that would be a pretty reasonable assessment. Might not work as a double stack, just saying. Okay. So that's the 100-foot overview. It'll cover all of these things that we've been bickering about, like definitions and where the laws actually do sit by setting this one national standard that is as broad as is necessary to work and does not leave any confusion about what is and is not. For those of you that are familiar with Gun Control Has Failed video compilation I did 2 years ago, the Alan Hunt gun, because he described it as automatic, that would qualify as a restricted item. Restricted, not banned. You could still get one and you might be able to carry it. But boy, good luck. You're going to have to go through some hoops, even with me. And I'm the guy that says you should be required to carry everywhere at all times. So that should be a clue. Hold up. Okay. I'm going to have to cut this off in about 20 minutes, guys, because I just got a text from Papa Carey. He's leaving the house now. Right. There's not going to be an afternoon live stream today because it is the second Thursday, second and fourth, no afternoon live streams. With that in mind, I want to encourage everybody to join SCA, Society for Creative Anachronisms, or a Civil War reenactment group or something. All right. These people have a wide range of knowledge that you could really use. And I'm going to throw this one out there because some of you would be very, very excited to hear this. All right. State laws vary. Obey your state laws. I'm not addressing state laws on this subject. I'm not going to do it. But federal law says that you can brew alcohol at home. There are very specific limits. When you hit those limits, you can't brew anymore. or you have to pay, I think it's $3 a gallon. Beyond that, on top of having the permits, you have to register to be a brewer above that limit. Um, you can brew alcohol at home. You can brew beer. You can brew liquor. You can vent wine if you know how, and they know how. Every SCA group I have ever been involved in, every chapter I've ever been involved in, has had at least one brewer. And one in particular had two brewers who were in. Okay, Bernie, take care. I was about to wrap up. Um, One in particular had two brewers who were in constant competition to see who could do a better job. So they'd brew about a half a gallon every week and bring it in and let everybody try and see which one was better. Something else to keep in mind. And I'm going to throw this out there. If you are a Muslim or another group that has a religious taboo on drinking, hold on to that thought. The ban is on being drunk. It's not strictly speaking on the alcohol per se. If you are in a situation where your water is questionable, I believe it's 1 part alcohol to 3 parts water. You cannot drink enough grog, that's basically what it is, to get drunk. Or more to the point, if you've drank enough grog to be in any way intoxicated, you've also drank enough water to put your life in danger. Don't do that. And this, unfortunately, has been proven so many times I can't even count them. One of them live on the air on a radio station. It's not drinking at that point, right? It's barely enough to kill off the germs in the water. And you can still do penance later. Should also be something you use as a last resort and not as a first. But it becomes an option that is available if you know how to do it. If you don't know how, you might be drinking water that has a dozen waterborne illnesses. Or as Sir Terry Pratchett put it, the Fountain of Youth killed Ponce de Leon because of the 6 waterborne diseases that it carried. That's actually from Discworld. Except it wasn't Ponce de Leon. What was the character he gave? What was the name he gave that character? I don't remember now. But it was based on Ponce de Leon. Search for the Fountain of Life. He finds it and he dies of a half dozen waterborne illnesses. Oh, by the way, shake the out of the bottle before you drink it and try to strain it. Get some of the dirt and fertilizers and other shit in it. Bugs. Literal bugs out of it. There are other things, especially in reference to north-south shooters or whatever your area's Civil War reenactors are. Black powder. I'm just going to go there. Black powder shooting. He forgotten more about this subject than I think I'll ever learn. I actually met a man who made his own black powder, and he said it was the best quality black powder that he knew of. I have no way of knowing how to measure the quality, so I'm just going to have to believe him because he ran it through his own guns and he didn't share, except with his Civil War buddies. Um, there you go. That is a huge resource that so many people are ignoring, and I don't understand why. If you've seen Gun Control Has Failed compilation, you'll know that at one point there's a clip, a clip of a guy who converted an AR-15. Well, he reloaded AR-15, 300 blackout, I believe it was, shells with black powder, all of it as crude as possible, and he got the gun to work. It didn't work very well because he was using black powder through a modern firearm, and by his own declaration, he was using the cheapest stuff he could find. I really encourage you to go and watch that video. It's pretty awe-inspiring. But anyway, I can't imagine why you can't do that with literally every gun, every modern firearm, other than black powder is corrosive and it's nasty. And he only decided to do it because that particular barrel was worn out anyway. So who cares? I'm throwing it out after this project. I was throwing it out anyway. Why not burn it up a little more and see if this will work? It's a vastly undertapped resource, and it's a shame that I'm not seeing people literally. My local chapter, I'm surrounded by over 1 million people. We barely get 8 people in the door on an average meeting. It's really unfortunate. Not quite as familiar with the Civil War because try as I might, I can't find a Civil War reenactment group around here because the Civil War has what to do with us. This was just dead desert at the time. Ironically enough, if I'd crossed the border back into California, I could probably find a group eventually. Well, actually, I could find a group, but if I could stop staring at the one chick's tits long enough to pay attention to the class, it'd do me a whole lot more good. I'm bad about that. I know it. Historic reenactment groups, please follow up on that. And unless somebody's got a question, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. Going once. Going twice. Okay, sold. This will give me a few extra minutes to respond to Papa Carey too, so thank you guys. Keep calm and Mandatry carry on.